part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane,
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
You're listening to the Krypton Report.
Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. The best podcast there is, that's right, just because I said so. Not really, but it's all good times. I'm your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue, and this is James, the Superman of Red, also known as the Bearded Wonder, the man without skin.
Without skin?
Wrong show. I don't know.
That was weird.
The ghoul, James.
The ghoul, yeah. His nose is fake. The best Superman podcast. You got that right.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's crank it up here. Okay, we got some news to go over.
Raise the roof.
Yeah, let's start with our news.
Showing our age.
Yeah. For real, we're old. They have been recording the finale of Superman and Lois. There's been a few couple leaked images, and one thing is they finished their filming on the set of Smallville, the backlot Smallville. So that's kind of sad. But I just wanted to bring that up. But as of this recording, it is now right past Superman Day. Happy belated Superman Day, James.
Happy Superman Day. I was excited about it.
It just kind of sucks because you have Superman Day in April, and I think Michael Bailey, he explained it the best, which was hilarious, about the Greek Orthodox kind of explanation of Superman Day. Because this is actually when Action Comics came out, and then DC has in June, which we celebrate every year. They're big. That's when they celebrate Superman Day. So I really think they just need to make it in April and not do the whole June thing, because even on their advertisement they were shop Superman Day merch, and it's just kind of confusing because it's the same thing with why is Batman Day in September, but we just talked about Detective Comics releasing last episode, so it is a little confusing, but a lot of people sharing some love online for Superman Day. James was one of them. He streaked through the streets of Toledo just wearing a Superman cape.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
No one could see it. He was the red. He was the red tan blur.
Yeah. The red white blur.
But James Gunn celebrated Superman Day by posting an image that showed him and David,
Corn Sweat, and Rachel
all holding a comic book, and James Gunn's holding Superman issue 1. David's got Action Comics. I can't see the number because it's blurry. And Rachel has All-Star Superman issue 1. And he said it was a nice post that James put, so it was cool. But it's just crazy how many people were like, they're going to reveal the suit today. They're going to reveal the suit today. And
they never did.
They did not. And I wrote an article for the Daily Planet. That's just a cool sentence to say out loud. About costumes that will be appearing hopefully soon. So keep looking into our socials for that. And speaking of James Gunn, we have some casting news for Superman. We have our Ma and Pa Kent. How are you feeling about this, James?
So Pa Kent. I've seen the actor. There. Yeah. I've seen the actor. I like some of the parts and everything. I've liked some of the roles and characters he's played. I think he's an actor with some range. Physically, he doesn't fit too many parts, though, so obviously he's kind of like boxed in.
Look, he's a larger man. He's heavier set. He has a goatee. What's funny is I've seen a lot of things that he's in. I don't remember him in those things. But what I do remember him as is the priest that drowns himself but doesn't think
in
he
alcohol
is in
Constantine.
Constantine.
Yeah.
That's the Constantine, the American with Keanu Reeves, not Constantine, the British guy. But the Keanu Reeves Constantine film, he's in, and that's where I know him from. That's the only thing I really remember seeing him as an actor. And I'm going to say I have my faith in Gunn's casting, but to me, I don't feel the Pa Kent-ness of it. Like, and what throws me is so far, everyone that Gunn has cast, you look at them and you're like, they're right off the page. Like, they're coming right off the page. They look like the characters. And then we get Pa Kent, and I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the role it depends on the way the character is going to be written and portrayed, and what point in the life is he going to be. I mean, right off the rip, I'm gonna say the Kents need to be alive.
Yep, they
I
both
think
do.
he's Superman, and the Kents need to be alive, both of them. It will be if you want to talk about making the movie unique in a way, doing that, keeping the parents alive. The only time that the friggin' parents are alive is Lois and Clark.
And Smallville.
For
the most part.
Well, Smallville. John dies.
I said for the most
John
part.
dies. He dies halfway through the series. So they need to be alive.
Our biggest thing is just thinking, like, there's been a lot of little angles and stuff done on television, but that's not something that everybody watches for Superman. So when I'm trying so much with all the information from this film is just think Superman films. So, the old ones, Returns, Man of Steel. You know what I'm saying? Try not to think, well, on Superman and Lois, they did this.
But still, when you think about it,
they did this.
Yeah, but still, when you think about it, even if you talk about films, I mean, the first time John Kent really died was Superman. And our actor here, he is no Ford and he is no Costner.
Right.
But, I want them to be alive. I want them to be alive for Superman. I want, if the DC universe works and moves forward and runs for a decade plus, I'd love to see the Kents see their grandson Jonathan. Like,
I kind of bummed because that was like Brian's big theory about why it was Superman Legacy was.
Oh, of course,
John.
Skip and go right to John. Yeah,
but you know what? I'm behind it though. If they're gonna start, this isn't an origin movie, and if we're gonna do Damian as Robin, like having like this be at the end, like the birth of John, and then we skip ahead some years. I'm just saying, like, I don't know because we don't know the whole story, and if we're building a universe,
yeah. And then we have an actress for Ma Kent for Martha.
We have, I'm going to pronounce Neva Howell.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen her in anything.
The only thing I would have seen her in was October Sky, I believe was what it was called. And I would have seen that when I was young, like real little, not real little, but young enough. And my mom would have watched it. I wouldn't remember. I wouldn't remember a thing about.
I wouldn't remember the small side actresses, or actors. But Pruitt Taylor Vincent and Neva Howe as Mom Pa Kent. Okay. Neva definitely gives off that motherly, like, she feels very Martha-y, but she feels like, just from the pictures we've seen her, we haven't seen her like on set or in costume type thing, but just like the picture of her they showed gives off a very like Superman the movie Martha compared to like where we have taken the character. But I don't need no Aunt May, Marissa Tomei, Martha. Okay, I need me, older Martha. Like if Superman's 30, okay, I think the Kent should be like in their mid 60s.
Yeah.
I think the sweet spot is if most people have kids like in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s, I think the Kent should be like having kids. Because I always like they should be like in today's instead they shouldn't be the grandparents' age they were always like displayed as. I think they should have like Fine Clark, they should be in their 40s. So they're about like 10 years older than what you'd expect.
Yeah.
For parents. They have a little bit of age, but they're not.
I
like
would say very
grandparents.
late 30s, early 40s when they find Clark.
Exactly.
So that way, by the time he goes off, they
Like I said-
are just hitting that grandparent age
Yeah,
of
like I said,
50s, 60.
like if he's 30, they're like 65, 66.
Right. I mean, I always figured Superman kind of probably made his way to Metropolis around 25, 26.
Yeah,
You know? I don't think that he's getting started as Superman and stuff in his 30s. You know?
It just
I feel like he would as he grows up, as he's a teenager, you know what I mean? He has his abilities, things like that. Does he help people along the way? Even if he travels the world and does some stuff, honestly, with his abilities, it would only take a few years. And then if he does go to the fortress, screw the 10-year disappearance, 12-year disappearance, which is crap.
That is garbage. That's
and
stupid.
Come back to the world.
That's stupid.
Yeah, no, I think he's entering the world. He's hitting Metropolis and kind of finding his own thing in his mid-20s.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on how they're telling the story. Because I mean, you look at Man of Steel, like he came out and he was 33, so they're going for those Jesus parallels. I've been here for 33 years, haven't heard anybody yet that you know of.
Yeah.
But we have our mom and pa, so that's nice. I don't
Jesus allegories. Ugh.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think the Kents will have a huge role in the film. Maybe we'll get like one solid kind of scene where he goes and visits his parents.
Right.
But
yeah.
I don't need a lot of them. I just need them to be alive and give me a good scene with them and Clark. Like just like one scene would be fine.
Right.
Doesn't have to be a flashback scene.
No, I think them being alive is important, honestly.
All right, ready? Rapid fire. Favorite Pa Kent, go.
Damn it. Okay. Yep. Schneider.
Favorite Ma.
Man, I guess I have to go Annette O'Toole.
It's like I think.
Well, I told you. Well, when you asked me that before, it was big screen Costner, small screen Schneider.
Yeah, that's the cop out answer. That's the easy answer.
But if I have to pick out of all of them, I'm gonna have to go with Schneider. We definitely got more time with him. He was more of a character. He had his ups and downs. He had emotions. He protected Clark as well as, put his trust and his faith in Clark to be able to do his things. He was the best all around Pa Kent.
Yeah.
He was vulnerable and,
I think if I had to pick best Pa, I think I might lean towards Eddie from Lois and Clark.
I could see it.
And for Ma, Annette O'Toole.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll keep everybody posted on that one. We got, let's see here, some news out of Superman Celebration. Bitsy Tulloch and Brandon Routh will be at Superman Celebration this year. Ooh. They are appearing June 8th. They are announcing what do you call it? The Gil Adler, who was a producer for Superman Returns. Constantine, as well as other films, will be there. And Mark Pillow, who played Nuclear Man, will be there as of right now. But Bitsy and Brandon will only be there June 8th. So keep your eyes peeled for more announcements for good old Superman celebration. And let's see. I think the last piece of news that I have, I don't think I've missed anything, is that we got on Superman Day, we got a 30-second tease, the first look of Superman, of My Adventures with Superman Season 2. James.
30 seconds. Well, the only one I saw was like 14 seconds.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Oh,
it's the same thing. It's just that once they go to YouTube, like people throw on their like channel crap on it.
Oh yeah.
It expands it. And we got a poster. The poster says Season 2, Krypton is coming. Adult Swim, next day on Max.
Yeah. And with the poster we see that Brainiac looking robot. We only know it from as Brainiac because of the 3 circles connected by the lines.
Mm-hmm.
But we get to see what we saw at the end of season 1. But
now, Solomon and I have been rewatching it, and we're on the last episode to rewatch. So I really want to finish my rewatch of this season before season 2 because I'm intrigued. But what did you think of? We see in that little sneak peek, we see Jor-El basically talking to Kal-El real fast and says, "There is another like you."
Yeah. That one I was like, okay, well, what are they getting at? Are they getting at heroes, villains, Supergirl? Yeah.
It's
so
Supergirl.
There was a couple of different ways I went. Supergirl is the best and obvious answer, I feel.
I'm sending you something now, but I think it's Supergirl. But my question would be, we assumed at the end of season 1 that was Zod.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen like a small like grab like that. Like I would say that's probably Supergirl.
But what if it's not Zod, it's Supergirl that's leading the evil Kryptonian?
Yeah.
The show would not be above flipping the script on that and changing.
Well, she's also been vulnerable and brainwashed in a lot of different stories over the years. So if she was brainwashed or controlled in any way by a Zod or a Brainiac, that would also explain it. Give her an out.
Mm-hmm.
As well as create another villain for the rest of the season or for the finale or whatever.
It's interesting, but I wouldn't mind like them fighting side by side, especially since we do have this new Supergirl film project. Like putting her out there as much as possible helps. And the way the show's been kind of different, it could be really neat to have her. But I kind of like the idea of what if she is the villain, and we're all expecting like, oh, it's Supergirl, yay! And
right?
She comes and kills everybody.
Yeah. Well, and then we did see a quick snippet of Kryptonian ships like crash landing. What appeared to be on Clark, but we don't know.
That's all the news that I have. Is there anything that I missed?
No, I mean, besides describing some behind the scenes photos we've seen, but
yeah, I ain't doing that.
Yeah,
I don't want to spoil stuff. Like you and I can talk about it like we want to, but I don't want to talk about it here. Like also, like I've already decided like I'm not gonna address any rumors. You know what I'm saying? With upcoming Superman movie and stuff. Like I don't want to waste my breath and time.
Yeah.
Like Gunn's so good about putting out fires like that. I just would rather focus on what's real and not go down any rabbit holes of this rumor and this was spotted on. No.
Yeah. There's a lot of them going on, and I mean, heck, one of the things he could like put on your conspiracy hat. One of the things that could be like, don't believe anything you see unless it comes from here, could be like, don't, even if somebody gets something correct, if I don't say yes or no on it, like, don't believe it. So you
For
don't
real.
know what the movie is before going to see it. You know what I mean? Which we've talked about is like always speculating on what's going to happen in a movie, or like who's such character, and the marketing reveals for BVS like spoiling so much. It was in my opinion, still, why would you want to know everything about a movie before you even go see it?
Right.
Like,
I mean,
that makes
I have a
no
lot.
sense, and it's like trying to guess an entire movie off of a screen grab and saying the whole thing's gonna suck because you saw a single frame.
I have a lot of friends, including Brian, who's like, when a movie comes out, they'll only watch the first trailer and that's it. Even if the first trailer is just a tease, they won't watch anything else because
Right. Well, I think part of doing what we do, reporting on all this stuff and everything, we see a lot, and I think we've all kind of gotten into the like, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? And I think just going through that at a point is now like, I can watch the trailers, and now I'm not trying to place the moments in the trailers where it's going to be in the movie. Show
right.
me some stuff so I can get excited for the movie, and that's it. I'm not trying to place it, and I'm not trying to guess what's happening in the movie. I'm just looking
Mhm.
for the excitement value.
Yes, you are absolutely correct, large James man. But ripped,
Ow.
showing them guns. But that's all for news, and we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, so now it's comic time. What comics we got on the docket today, James?
World's Finest 25 and Superman 12, I believe.
Yep.
Yes.
And this is James and I had this conversation before. We are going to wait, and we were looking at it and planning with the whole House of Brainiac coming up. We are going to wait and do House of Brainiac as one collective conversation. Kind of like we're in May, we will be reviewing Superman 78, the Iron Curtain.
The Metal Curtain.
The Metal Curtain, see? Iron, because I'm thinking about history, because,
Mm-hmm.
So we're just, we're instead of going issue by issue, week by week, and kind of time, we're going to try the approach of collectively breaking it down and doing the whole. It's only like 7 issues, so it's not anything outside the realm of a trade. So,
right,
and that'll give us some time to review some other things. But which one do you want to do first?
I say we do World's Finest first.
All right, the oversized 25th issue.
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
Because we've got kind of our arc wrap up in issue 12 for Superman.
All right. What did you think of this issue, just first off?
Well, I mean, it very much reminded me of World's Finest from the Superman Batman animated shows.
It's the book is very focused on the Lex Luthor meeting the Joker. And basically they go to the Magic Lands, and they're able to pop in and out of different places in the DC universe. Like they go and see Jonah Hex and different things, and they switch places with some magic. And all in all, that's the first part, and then there is a second part. We don't have to go beat by beat. I'm just talking. I didn't hate it, but I didn't really care for it. Like I I don't know. I just didn't really need or really want a Joker Lex Luthor story
Mm.
because I feel like this is when it goes and makes Lex Luthor more. I don't find Lex when he's depicted like this as menacing. When he's like in the green and purple and kind of like in a jumpsuit kind of thing, it's more like Super Friends style Lex compared to what I feel like is the Lex that's more deadly when he comes off as being the good guy that everyone, the good guy that people all think is good, but really he's bad and he's very sneaky and in the public eye. So I don't know. I didn't need the Lex and Joker story.
Yeah. I mean, you're right with the feels very like Super Friends, and that just kind of strikes me as something that Mark Waid might write
Yeah.
for Lex Luthor. But I mean, there were some interesting beats in this story. Like you said, going back to the beginning, different things like Superman saying he doesn't know how he can do it, how he can handle the Joker, and then Batman saying he can't see through his eyes. He can't
Mm-hmm.
he can't relate with Joker in any way. The for some reason, I mean, just reading this issue, it really felt like when I was reading it, like it was like Mark Hamill and like Clancy Brown, as
I
the
get that.
voices almost.
Yeah, I get that.
I like Joker shaving his head for to be a twinsies with Lex Luthor.
Like I said, it wasn't bad. It's not
Right,
it's not
and it's
it's not a
definitely
story
a
I wanted.
one-off issue in in all of these arcs that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
This World's Finest book has really been able to kind of like jump around in time over the years. It's not like this ongoing story that has a chronological
Mm-hmm.
start and finish. The thing that it threw me a little bit was the 7 deadly sins of the 7 deadly enemies of man, not the 7 sins: pride, envy, greed, hatred, selfishness, laziness, and injustice. It was
Well, isn't
weird.
that like what they were called? Like, and they were later changed to like being the sins. Like it because remember Mark Waid was writing the new Shazam book for Captain Marvel, the
Right.
Captain. So I'm pretty sure that was what they were originally called.
Yeah, I gotta jump into that book. But it was just it was different. It was I did like the interaction where where Lex Luthor says he retracts his earlier assessment of Joker's mental state. How he is crazy, but he's also very very astute, very smart. Um, it was an interesting way of bringing them together, bringing in the most
Mm-hmm.
crazy person in the world to read this map that's driven everybody else crazy.
Mm-hmm.
There were some interesting beats to the story. I wouldn't say that it was a bad book or anything. But in the end, Joker ending up back in Arkham Asylum, and Lex just kind of, being Lex, looking out over Metropolis again. Then we get a prologue.
Hi, James.
Hi, Sayla.
Yeah, go to bed. Go. Okay. Night, night, Sayla.
Well, we get a prologue where we get a portal taking Superman and his alien zoo, basically going into the Batcave, the mechanical T-Rex coming to life, and Abraham Lincoln coming out of the penny. just lots of craziness happening, and they discover, they figure that it's Batmite and or Mixie, and they show up, and it wasn't them, um, and they were just riding a wave of chaos magic. But whoever did this to our friend, and if he can murder a whole dimension full of life and color, I don't know how the Earth stands a chance. We got a fifth dimensional Green Lantern with a yellow arrow in his chest, being held by Batmite.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like they're expanding the fifth dimensional characters.
Yeah. The thing that I'm still curious about is the first part of this story was magic and Shazam and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So how is this tied to that?
I'm wondering too.
And that's what I'm thinking.
I love Dan Mora's art, and I love the way he draws Robin. Just he makes Robin awesome.
He does.
So that was that book. And I like the second part, with Batman, Superman, and Robin. So that was nice. But okay. All right. Superman issue 12. It picks up pretty much where the last book ended in Supercorps Tower Metropolis, where we see your worst nightmare, Drag Queen, talking about making Metropolis their own petri dish, and that would be Dr. Graff, right?
Yes. So Dr. Graff is actually the one in the wheelchair.
Yes. And I will say the artwork for this is not bad. Like, it's good. It's just, it's more cartoony than I would like.
Yeah. They definitely changed artist, I feel.
They did. The art for this book is more cartoony. I really like the art that we got in the past issues of Action with the Bizarro. I thought that art was really good. But we have them, Dr. Graff here gets punched in the face by Lex Luthor wearing his Lex-O Superman suit that we saw him wear in Rebirth. And now Lex is out to fly and save the day. Superman makes a call for everyone in Supercorps to take cover, and he calls on Lena's help. He puts on like a kind of neat like overcoat jacket thing. And then him and Luthor have a discussion about how he studied kryptonite himself, and he's got Lena there on his side. I find it interesting that we go to kind of a page from like, the back of the Smallville days of Lex being there, meeting a young Clark and being insulted when Clark brings up farming. And this is Lex telling us kind of his origin story, where he comes to Metropolis, he meets Farm and Graff. They were his villains, but then when he found out they had kryptonite, he decided that they were going to partner up. And Graff looks very much like a Howard Stern. And they were experimenting on kryptonite all together. And he says, and you betrayed them and stole it, and then ran them out of town. And Luthor says, our goals did not align regarding how to best use our discovery. But yes, I took what I needed and discarded their brothers when they were no longer convenient to me. And then Lex's mom, whose name evades me right now because is it Lutetia or Lutetia?
Lutetia, yeah.
Yeah, because that's not usually what it is. Shows up in Lex's suit, and it's mother versus son in their suits in the clouds. And Clark gets the most brilliant idea why he puts on a baller suit of like armor to get Parasite to help absorb energy. Because, that's what Parasite does. And then he gets the brilliant idea of Lena gets the brilliant idea of being able to shut down Lex's armor, because the two armors, both Lex's and his mom's, are connected. They shut them both down. Superman sweeps in, grabs them both. Everyone goes back to jail. The Chained, Farm, Graph, and Mrs. Luthor.
Have you ever turned off a set of like JBL speakers, like Bluetooth? The sound,
Mm-hmm.
the ka-choom.
Yeah.
It makes me think that they're, when their armor's shut down, it was like shutting off a JBL speaker.
I like it. The book ends where Clark, is talking to Lex, and he says, is there anything else I need to know? Any other lies? Not to my recollection, Luthor, no. And then it cuts to Lois, like, and you believed him? And Clark's like, his heart rate didn't budge. And they talk about how Jimmy's actually doing a good job running the planet. They're going to try to have a date when all of a sudden Lobo shows up. Or he doesn't show up, but like we get cuts of Lobo breaking out of wherever he's at. And Clark says, what restarted the game between Lex and his villains? And then at the end, we see Brainiac's ship.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if Lex is responsible for Graph being in the wheelchair.
Right. Yeah, could very much be. Well, because last time we saw Lobo, I believe he was like captured by a Brainiac or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Lobo saw all the Zarnians or copies of himself or something. Yeah, and then, what restarted with Lex? Why now? And why now indeed? More startling revelations begin in next month's epic House of Brainiac.
I like this issue. Like I said, the artwork wasn't bad. I mean, it was good art. Just it made the story feel more playful. But I felt like, I don't know. I just felt like, I'll punch out Farm and Graph, and we'll just power down the suits, and that's the end. So I just felt like it was a little abrupt. But
the interesting thing, for just looking at it, is the last couple of issues was the same artist.
mm-hmm.
He did the penciling and the inking, same artist. So it's just very interesting because the last couple of issues were not as like cartoonish, but this one is. And it's the same guy.
Interesting. But that is all I've got for comics right now. And yeah, I feel like there's something I'm missing. But there's not. But I do want to say something though. I was thinking about this. So I was rewatching My Adventures with Superman, and I just kind of thought to myself, where's the merch, man? Like I think they dropped the ball by putting this on Adult Swim. It is a family show. It's a great show for kids to get into Superman. They have 2 small seasons, and I think they're kind of mistreating it, in that this should be on Cartoon Network or whatever, or on Max. I mean, even Batwheels has merch, and that's on Max. And there's no even if you made like a Superman, a Lois, and a Jimmy figure, but I'm watching these villains, and they're very toyetic, like Parasite, Silver Banshee, the Kryptonian robots. And I'm just like, where is... And now, to juxtaposition this, we have over on Disney X-Men 97. X-Men 97 is another kind of like premium cartoon where it's only like 2 seasons of 10 episodes, supposedly. Like, it's supposed to have a season 2. And, I'm watching that with Solomon too. And it's good. It's more serious and, adult. but it's good. But yet they got the crap out of toys on this thing. You know, they have a Wolverine mask, a Wolverine like glove that shoots claws. They have like the 6-inch figures that are overpriced. Then they have the smaller ones that are overpriced. And like, so they're selling merch, they're selling everything. They have the 12-inch figures that are correctly priced. So they're selling stuff, to collectors and to just kids. And its length is not going to be much longer than what My Adventures with Superman is. But one is kind of reintroducing and bringing fans back, and one is supposed to ignite new fans and explore a new mythology. Because my kids really enjoy the show, and I'm just kind of wondering why there's no line of toys.
Honestly, in my opinion, because how long this show, we knew that this show was coming out, how many years like it was in development alongside of the Cape Crusader, which still isn't out yet. I feel that it's just brand mismanagement.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
They put it on Adult Swim at frickin' midnight. So how the hell are kids supposed to see it unless we show it to them on Max?
Right. I think the Adult Swim angle was just kind of we have to put it on TV kind of thing. This is what we worked, but really it was supposed to be just on Max.
I think it's just because like that's where their anime stuff is, though. Like, so we're gonna put it with our that other anime stuff.
But I look at it like they probably developed it just to be on Max, but since they're moving away from just having stuff on they found a way to get it on,
monetize it more than just a streaming service.
Yeah, and so they went with exactly what you just pitched when the anime stuff is. But I think back, like, we have enough, or we have 2 seasons, and I think back, like, I look at Netflix, like when they did Voltron. The art for this show reminds me of that so much. That show, they put toys out, they split it up, into like 4 seasons or whatever. They did that for like Troll Hunter, like a lot of Netflix stuff that's on
Masters of the Universe Revelations has toys.
Yeah, but those are kind of more for us than it is for kids. But the other He-Man series that I actually really liked, and Solomon did, that was made more for kids, had toys and everything. And I'm just kind of like, you can do a streaming show and have merch.
Yeah. I feel like the whole thing is just brand mismanagement. You know what I mean?
It's another example of having a great product for a character, much like Superman and Lois, when you're not putting your full oomph behind it and promoting it to where it's not getting the respect that it deserves, kind of like, oh, it was a thing real quick. Instead of being like this excitement that we're all into. And it's like a great show, because My Adventure with Superman is a great show. And we know it got a 2-season order, but I wish they'd go back to just, it's a cartoon. I want to know how many seasons it is. Do like you did Batman the Animated Series. Make like 30 episodes for the first season, then give us like 10 more. Like, bring back that excitement. Instead of just being, oh, here's 16 episodes total, or here's 20 episodes total. We're done. Like, it's like as soon as you build interest and build something up, you're already done with it and walking away from it. You don't have time for anything to grow and become something, because you're just.
I mean, if there's an interest in telling a closed, concise story and getting it out there, I think if you have a beginning, a middle, and an end, great. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if that's how it's sold, that's how it's sold. But also, like, yeah, when you try and build up this excitement and then you don't put anything behind it. You don't put any merch. You don't put any advertising. You know what I mean? You don't put anything behind it. And then it just kind of comes out. The people who would have seen it or who would randomly come across it, but then it's this small thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's this good thing that's so small, and the only people who know about it is this small group. Yep. And all you needed to do was some advertising and some merchandising, and it probably could have been 5 times as large as it was.
It's kind of like,
At least.
let's look back when they decided to move the date for Super Pets. That shifted a lot of stuff, like all the McDonald's tie-ins didn't line up with the film. And then there was merch that never really caught on. But then all the merch they made for that was aimed at like preschoolers instead of like the actual target audience, which was like my kids' age. Because my kids love that movie. I love that movie. But they didn't make anything for those kids. They made it for preschoolers, like really young. So that was a big mismanagement opportunity right there.
Yeah.
And
I just feel like sometimes like they're like, well, we're going to do this because there's going to be a small group of people who are going to invest in it. But then we're just going to be like, we're going to do this. And then as soon as like it's been produced, we're just going to wash our hands of it. Like it's an IP that consistently needs development. And every single time one tiny part of it comes out, it's like, all right, we're done with it.
And I'm hoping,
and then we're like, oh, maybe we'll revisit this IP again.
I'm just hoping that maybe moving forward, we'll get some changes, and we'll see. We'll get another really good animated series ongoing. Instead of just like, here's this limited series. Goodbye. But that's all for me and James's rant. Thanks for checking out the Krypton Report. Like, subscribe to our different social medias. Send us an email, Facebook message, whatever. Comment on your thoughts. Let us know what you're thinking. And remember,
if you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough super talk, check out these other podcasts. Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio, The Last Sons of Krypton, the Superboy Legacy Podcast, All-Star Superfans, Superman the Animated Podcast, The Aspiring Kryptonians, Always Hold On to Smallville, The Geek of Steel, and Truth, Justice, and Hope.
Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report. Find out all of our information.
What's up, everybody? Chase Smith here from the Chase Smith Podcast and Cavs on the Break NBA Podcast.
And I'm JD, host of the Hyman Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, and we are super excited to bring you a brand new show starting next Tuesday, the Fanfare Podcast.
The Fanfare Podcast is all about your favorite movies and our favorite movies and the best moments in cinema. To help guide our discussion, each episode will feature one classic, and we will grade this movie using a report card-like scale A through F. We're going to be grading categories like acting, directing, cinematography, the score, and even the movie poster itself.
And when we're not featuring a movie report card, we'll be sharing our movie rankings, franchise deep dives, actor and director interviews, and everything in between. Movies have been a major part of our lives, and we cannot wait to share our thoughts with you.
Our premiere episode will drop Tuesday, June 27th, and JD and I will be reviewing Raiders of the Lost Ark in preparation of the release of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny on June 30th, the 5th installment of the franchise.
Join us on the Fanfare Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
Here at Krypton Report, we believe in the power of podcasting, the power of speaking your voice and speaking something that comes from you. So here's a couple of podcasts you can check out with people sharing their voice.
I am Brian Peters, the creator and host of Gravely Amusing. For the past 30 years, I've studied the history of gods and monsters in pop culture and our world. As a student of theology and history, I've tried to understand evil and its impact on us. As a writer, I've tried to share this knowledge. As a comedian, I've tried to make people laugh as I do it. But as a man-child, I'm still that scared 7-year-old boy. Join me as I share the history of horror and sci-fi, discuss classic and modern pop culture, and share a creepy story or two. This podcast may scare you, it may horrify you, or it may leave you Gravely Amused. Listen to Gravely Amusing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever podcasts are found. Follow us on Twitter at gravely_amusing or on TikTok at Gravely Amusing.
Hi, I'm Taria Maynard, and this is my co-host, Jania Patrick. We're a couple of sisters in Central Ohio who created a podcast. Our podcast is called The Confessing Heretics.
The basic premise of the podcast right now, as we see it, is we're going to talk to you guys about our stories in religion, would you say?
This podcast is about sharing our truths, our religious traumas, and our histories. We'd love for you to join us on our journeys as we talk about our pasts and discover more about ourselves along the way. We will be featured on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just look for The Confessing Heretics.
We have a $1 Patreon. Yes, I know everyone asks for money, but our $1 Patreon each month gets you commentary tracks for releasing movies, DC movies. It gets you my Requel series where I pitch ideas about movie sequels, prequels, or whatever. It also gets special bonus episodes of whatever else some of the friends of the network chime in and drop. So check that out for $1 a month. That's all we ask. Keep it cheap, keep it simple, and help us keep going. Check out the link in the show notes or Patreon Krypton Report. Follow the link in the link tree or in the show notes below, patreon.com/Krypton Report.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
And it's time to start some Justice League action. And since we're going to be bringing the action, we thought we'd bring in a special guest. Let's welcome our special guest.
Young man of action. He must be saving the day.
Godzilla himself.
Nice mask, Zolo.
Godzilla has joined us.
Yes.
So, oh shoot.
Excuse me.
We're gonna do this. So I'm gonna just talk loud, and we'll share this microphone. Okay. So kind of talk into this one.
Okay.
So our first episode up for tonight is called The Brain Buster, and a mysterious creature abducts Batman, Mr. Terrific, Luthor, and two of the brainiest villains in the universe to put them to the test to discover who is the smartest among them. All right. What did you think about this one, guys?
This one was, I have to say this one was good. I just, the whole Mr. Mind thing. And I didn't know it would be Mr. Mind. I thought it would be like Dark Plasm like that. But it was crazy.
It was Mr. Mind.
Yeah, I forgot it was Mr. Mind when I was watching the episode. So when that reveal came up, I was like, that makes sense. You know, all these like smart people and everything. I guess my favorite part of the whole thing was literally just how cheeky Mr. Terrific was at the end. The third smartest man. Who do you think wrote that list?
Yeah, for real. Mr. Terrific wrote his own list. This one was cool. I told Solomon as we were watching, I was like, it's neat when they do these other characters that you don't normally get to see or be a part of. So it was cool. Just Mr. Terrific, but this one was like on. I was watching it as the dogs were kind of barking and kind of in some issues, so I missed little bits of it. But the next episode is Enigma Consulting Detective. When the Joker traps Batman, the Justice League decide against their better judgment to allow Riddler, who's trying to go straight, and to help them track him down. I like this one because it had a lot of Green Arrow in it.
Yeah, me as well. Plus, I thought it was hilarious Brent Spiner being the Riddler. I think he makes a better Riddler than he does a Joker.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that. I liked this one because the twist at the end was absurd. Like, what did he ever do to you? And you just see that Riddler took Joker's donut. And like that's why the Joker is doing all this just to get at Riddler. He's not actually after the Justice League.
Yep, just to get Riddler because he stole his donut in Arkham.
Yeah, that was a giant. I thought they're like fighting. Because I don't know, Batman broke out like, but yeah.
Well, there's always been some sort of feud on and off over the years between the Joker and the Riddler, you know? Like, even in The Batman, where he's like, you know, I tell riddles, I don't do jokes.
When it's Marilyn Manson?
Yeah. Yeah, whereas Marilyn Manson, the Riddler, yeah.
I like when the Riddler's like going as a detective. I think it's pretty cool. The next episode is Harley Goes Ape. When Gorilla Grodd takes control over Titano, the giant ape, the only person who seems to be able to override his control is the medical worker who nursed him as a chimp. She is now known as Harley Quinn. Solomon made the best observation of this episode because it was Harley Quinn paired up with Stargirl. And he was like, it's like Sayla and Sayla. And I was like, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. It's like Sayla as a good guy, but Sayla as a bad guy.
And what was funny was we started watching the episode and he's like, who is that ape? I was like, that's Titano. And then like right after I said it, like it cuts to Grodd like, Titano. Like, I was like, oh, well, see, Grodd told us what's up.
Yeah, it was funny how Grodd, a gorilla, was mind controlling the giant chimp Titano. That was really funny, and how I think it's funny that somebody's always got to have some kind of like almost childhood connection, like it was Lois in the animated series, and in this one, it's almost like Harley is almost got that young person's connection to Titano.
Yep.
But then, yeah, the near indestructibleness to trying to break through the glass dome that's almost like a crown on Titano. I was almost worried that he took out his brain or something.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think they're gonna go that dark.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking like, what are they doing with this? But yeah, you're right. It did not go that dark. Okay. The final episode we watched is It'll Take a Miracle. Big Barda's life hangs in the balance when Batman is forced by Darkseid to track down the elusive Mr. Miracle and bring the anti-life equation he stole from Apocalypse. I like this episode because Solomon's like, Dad, who's Mr. Miracle? And I'm like, well, son, let me tell you about Scott Free. And then I was like, he's married to Big Barda. He's like, who's Big Barda? And then she shows up. I gave him the whole explanation. Didn't I, Solomon?
Yeah.
About like Darkseid's son, trading kids.
Yeah. I traded Orion for Scott Free for Highfather as a truce between the planets. And yeah.
Yeah, it was just funny because Solomon's like, what, Dad? I don't understand this.
It was a fun episode. You know, you think ropes would hold me? And then the cape! You grabbed my cape! What about the cape code?
I like this just because like it was very playful. I was like, ta-da! And then they have, you know, half the anti-life equation. And they exchange the anti-life equation with what, Solomon? What do they give Darkseid?
They give him the Mr. Miracle intro.
Yeah, his little like disco ball thing, like
yeah, his little smoke and laser show.
It's like dun dun dun.
Yeah, yeah. It was really funny how playful and everything that Mr. Miracle was. And I do like how they drew Big Barda as big, and she's holding Mr. Miracle, like she's carrying him. It was really funny.
That's always kind of the thing is like, how big do you make Barda?
Well, Wonder Woman as an Amazon is technically supposed to be large, like Dwayne McDuffie drawing her in New Frontier as being bigger than Superman. Not like massive, but bigger than Superman. In all honesty, Big Barda should look like that to that Wonder Woman as she did to Superman. You know what I mean? So, like, she looks that much bigger than most of the guys.
Yep. James is all about Big Barda. He's like, bring on the big.
I would love to see Big Barda, and I still think that that my one casting would still be perfect. You know,
I'm trying to remember who you had.
Carano.
Yeah, she totally would have been great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what I thought you had, but I can't remember.
Yeah. I still think that she would be a fantastic fantastic character for person to play that character.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Solomon, thanks for joining us, buddy. For the Justice League action, we're gonna have you back next time we review some more Justice League action episodes. Sound good?
Yep.
I think what we'll do is, I think for all of our listeners, the next time we do Justice League action, keep an eye on our social. I think we'll do a live watching of Race Against Crime and maybe Watchtower tours. We'll see. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back.
Look up in the sky.
We just want to say, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network.